Departures Arrivals by Mermaid Mary. Read by Rainbow Cruise, or the Nomad's Crow, whichever. Summary. Izuku and Rody's relationship told through a handful of moments in airports. 1. It hadn't actually been a promise that Rody had taken especially seriously at the time. I'll come back and visit for sure. Rody hoped so, really, but it had honestly seemed a little just like one of those things people said, just impacted by the inherently sentimental setting of the airport. Rody had sort of thought, yeah, sure, whatever. You should have known better. It was Izuku, after all. It was the first time Rody had been in an airport since Izuku had left 6 months ago. The place looked the same, sort of big and overwhelming, and full of Rody's pipe dreams of being a pilot. He wandered around, weaving through crowds. Every once in a while he saw a pilot strutting through in full uniform, and Pino did a stupid little flutter of excitement. He was here way too early. Rody had left probably an hour earlier than he needed to, jittery and keyed up from lack of sleep. It was dumb. He was dumb. This whole thing was probably a mistake. Pino chirped at him, a noise of frustrated annoyance. Okay, Rody muttered. He wasn't trying to be cynical or anything. He just knew that getting too excited about something, getting too optimistic, it was totally tempting fate to ruin it. He was trying to stay chill so he didn't jinx anything. Trying to kill time in an airport was weirdly impossible. Rody wandered through the little stores with stupid touristy souvenirs, keychains and mugs with the Otheon skyline on them. They were painfully tacky. He couldn't really imagine anyone actually using one, but he had a weird impulse to get one for Izuku anyway. Stupid, of course. Everything was ridiculously overpriced anyway. Somehow Rody doubted Izuku would be pleased if he got a stolen gift. Rody circled through every store twice, bored and restless and dying from the anticipation. He kept getting a little bit closer to just swiping a keychain. Finally, Rody! He jumped at the sound of his name, and Pino nearly fell out of the air. They both spun around. Izuku was grinning and waving as he made his way over to them, his bag slung over his shoulder. Pino flew to Izuku, chirping happily. Izuku greeted her as she settled right into his hair. Happy to see me? Izuku said with a smile as he reached Rody. Rody narrowed his eyes. Don't tease, he muttered. Izuku laughed a little. I'm not. I'm happy to see you too. It was undercut by Pino's persistent happy chirping. Rody wanted a little bit to stuff her into his pocket until further notice. I never should have told you about my quirk, Rody said, only sulking a little. He could feel heat in his cheeks. God, he really hoped he wasn't blushing. That would be too much. I take it back. You take it back? Izuku echoed, sounding amused. Yep, take it back. You don't know it anymore. Rody nodded decisively. Izuku laughed. Not sure that's how it works. Sure it is, Rody replied. Izuku shook his head. He looked up at Rody, his gaze entirely too fond, and that was the only warning Rody got before Izuku stepped forward and pulled him into a tight hug. I missed you, Izuku murmured. How could he just say that? Rody wishes he had it in him to be that easily sincere. Of course you did, Rody said, returning the hug. Izuku squeezed tighter, almost too much. I'm amazing. Izuku laughed into his shoulder, and Rody smiled. It was a long moment before Izuku finally pulled away, scrubbing at his face where a couple stray tears had fallen. Rody cleared his throat. Can I get you back? He offered, already reaching for it. Izuku led him with a small smile. It felt a little ridiculous. Rody knew that Izuku didn't need help, but at least it was something to do with his hands, as he smiled back and led Izuku to the exit. He's here, Rody thought, heaviness bursting in his chest. It was really nice, Izuku said haltingly, almost cringing at his own awkwardness. Having you here, I mean, it was, nice. I'm glad you came. I hope I was an okay tour guide. Not that we went all that many places. He could feel how he was starting to ramble, and he was just sort of begging himself to stop. It hadn't been awkward the whole visit. Why was it awkward now? Well, Izuku knew why. He knew exactly why, and it was, of course, his fault. Rody cleared his throat, looking anywhere but at Izuku. Yeah, I had fun. I mean, well, it was... Yeah, Izuku agreed. He started his shoes, wrapping his arms around himself. His chest was such a confusing tangle of feelings. He didn't even know what to do with it. He just wished he'd prepared better for this sort of thing. The truth was that he just never realized he needed to. Your turn next, right? Rody said. Izuku glanced up. Rody was keeping his gaze glued to the big window where the planes were lined up outside. You... Izuku trailed off. He was about to say, you really still want me to visit again? Which sort of felt like a profoundly stupid thing to say, given how often they talked about future visits, but he also found himself a little desperate for the reassurance, actually. This whole morning had been stilted and uncomfortable, and he just wanted to quiet the rapid increasing anxiety that he'd never see Rody again. That stupid kiss. Izuku was so mad at himself. Why had he done that? It felt like he'd ruined everything. Rody cleared his throat again, rubbing the back of his neck. Rody finally broke away from looking at the planes, his eyes wide as he desperately swiped at the air, trying to stuff Pino away again. She dodged his hand, tripping loudly at him before flying right into Izuku's chest, her little wings outstretched like she was trying to hug him. She let out a soft sound like a whine, and Izuku had to put a hand up to hold her there so she wouldn't fall, since she seemed determined to stay pressed against him. Rody winced. Izuku suppressed a smile. Well, maybe he hadn't screwed things up quite as badly as he'd thought. The kiss had been stupid, impulsive. It was just that Izuku had wanted it for so long, and Rody was finally here, and it had been amazing, showing him around Japan a little, and it was their last night together for who knew how long, and honestly, it was as simple as the fact that Izuku wanted to kiss Rody, and he hadn't thought past that. For all that he would overthink things, this had to be the one time he didn't think at all. Not when they were talking together, laughing a little, exchanging little bittersweet comments about how great it had been to be together again. Rody had just said that he was going to miss Izuku with a little shrug, all earnest when Izuku knew how rare that was, and Izuku's brain had short-circuited exactly long enough for him to lean forward and press his lips to Rody's. Then, of course, they'd both completely panicked, and they'd scrambled to bed right away. And Izuku had hardly slept at all. Pino was still trying to hug him, though, and it almost looked like Rody was blushing, which was quite a sight. I kissed you because I like you, Izuku said, getting the words out before he could second-guess them. I think I needed to say that before you left. He glanced down at Pino, who was refusing to move. She let out a distressed little chirp and buried her face further into Izuku's shirt. It took a moment before Izuku managed to make himself look at Rody again. Rody was definitely blushing now. He looked a little startled, too, which Izuku thought was funny. Was he really that surprised? Izuku managed a small smile. Rody let out a little breath of laughter. Cool. Yeah, cool. It's okay if you don't feel the same, Izuku said, because it was. I just thought I should tell you. I do, though, Rody said quickly. Then, appearing to realize what he'd said, his eyes widened, and he looked away, stiff and flushed. Yeah, me too. Izuku's smile grew. He tried not to think about the passing seconds, how little time they had left in this moment. Rody was going to be cutting it pretty close if they lingered much longer. Yeah, Izuku said. Rody took a deep, obvious breath before meeting his gaze. He looked as nervous as Izuku felt. Well, at least it's both of us, Izuku thought, as his pulse raced. Yeah, Rody said. They wasted more precious moments just staring at each other, with Pino starting to sniffle against Izuku's chest. I need to go, Rody said softly, and it sounded like an apology. I know, Izuku replied. We should, talk. Rody frowned, glancing up at the clock on the wall with a slightly pained look in his eye, like an afterthought he had it in a mirror. Probably should have talked last night. Call me when you get home, Izuku said hopefully. It'll be pretty late here, Rody replied. That's okay, Izuku said. I'll stay up. Rody offered a little half smile. Okay. Rody was losing his mind. Izuku's flight was delayed. And yeah, okay, it was only by 20 minutes, but still, 20 minutes felt like an exceptionally long time when you were waiting to see your boyfriend after 7 months apart. Each second was longer than the last, and Rody kept jumping at every flash of green, knowing that Izuku couldn't possibly be there yet. He managed to force himself to sit on a bench out of the way, his knee bouncing restlessly as he waited. God, he missed Izuku so much. It was so hard, spending more time missing him than not, and Rody had never wanted to have a quirk that could control time so badly. He wanted to fast forward it right now, get to the part where Izuku was in his arms. Then maybe he could put the world on pause until it felt like enough. Rody sincerely doubted it was possible to feel like he'd gotten enough time with Izuku. He had a bit of irrational anger at his younger self for not appreciating their moments together. when they'd met, when they were driving together, and it felt like no one else existed sometimes. He hadn't known at the time how much those memories would end up mattering to him, how much Izuku would end up mattering to him. Rody tried desperately not to watch the clock. Then he tried desperately not to stare at the arrivals board, his gaze glued on the delayed flight from Japan. He failed over and over. Rody wondered if Izuku was feeling the same. Up in the air, the plane somehow moving in slow motion. The minutes crawled by, and Rody paced, waiting at the bottom of the escalator. Twice, a big crowd came down, and Rody's heart leapt into his throat as he scanned the people. It was just another flight, though. Finally, Rody looked up and saw a familiar face, scanning over the people in the waiting area. Izuku looked as impatient as Rody felt. His brow furrowed as he approached the bottom of the escalator, his gaze not quite catching on Rody yet. When Izuku finally found him, his eyes widened. Rody smiled, lifting his hand in a small greeting. Izuku's entire face lit up with a grin as he weaved through the remaining people, barreling right into Rody's chest, his arms wrapped over Rody's neck. Rody stumbled back a little from the force of it, managing to catch his balance and return the embrace, his arms winding around Izuku's waist. "Die," Rody said softly. "Die," Izuku replied, pressing his face hard against Rody's shoulder. They stayed like that for a while. Rody didn't notice any of the people around them. He didn't notice any of the sounds of the airport. He didn't even notice Pino's fluttering. For that moment, like when they'd been driving through the countryside, nothing else existed. When Izuku pulled back, his hands didn't leave Rody's shoulders. "I thought that flight was never going to end," he said. Izuku's eyes were shiny with unshed tears, and he was smiling so brightly that Rody's chest ached. "You couldn't just make it go faster from sheer force of will," Rody teased. "I tried," Izuku said. Rody laughed. He'd started to reply, but before he got a sound out, Izuku was leaning up and kissing him. It took a second for Rody to catch up, the shock and sheer joy of the fact that this was happening making his brain stumble. He kissed back, a little clumsily, and he was pretty sure Pino was making a sound like a fire alarm. Izuku was the one to pull away, with a small, breathy laugh. "Sorry," he said. "Don't apologize," Rody replied. "I've been thinking about doing that for months." Izuku smiled again, impossibly brighter, and Rody felt luckier than he ever had. 4. Izuku stared up at the sign, a sinking feeling in his chest. "All flights cancelled due to weather." The big red cancelled stamp was over basically every single flight listed, save for the very last few arrivals. All the departures, though, the last one to leave the airport had taken off already. And there weren't going to be any more until the storm passed. Izuku felt a little frozen. He wanted to be able to blink it away. He sort of felt like maybe if he stood there long enough, he could will his flight back into the schedule. Maybe if he stared hard enough, he could turn the words into something else. Distantly and maybe a little hysterically, Izuku considered the fact that All Might had been known to change the weather with his power before, simply by delivering a blow that altered the air pressure. It was a stupid thought, and probably there were a lot of reasons that Izuku shouldn't have even considered it in the first place. Various ethical issues about using your power to fight nature just so you could see your boyfriend. Izuku was sure he'd know and understand those reasons later when the denial passed. He couldn't quite think of any of those reasons right at the moment, but he was pretty sure. Shit. Izuku let out a long, slow sigh, the information finally sinking in. The words weren't going to just miraculously change just because he refused to move. The storm was supposed to last through the night, at least. It was possible that it was going to last all through the next day. So even if Izuku could get on the earliest possible next flight, it would probably only get him an afternoon in Otheon at most, and that was only the best case scenario. More likely, the earliest available flight would still be too late. The trip was only the weekend. It was already such a short visit. It was just that it was the only free weekend that Izuku and Rody had common for the next several months. Izuku was busy all the time. Third year was so hectic. Work, studies, and exams, and traveling. It was damn near impossible to have a life. How anyone else in his class dated, he had no idea, and it wasn't like Rody's life was any more relaxed. His year-long aviation program was intensive, and he had his exams coming up soon, and as always, he had his siblings to worry about. Izuku could feel tears stinging as he swallowed them back, pulling out his phone. No use in delaying in the inevitable, he supposed. It was gonna suck either way. "Hey, what's up?" Rody greeted. "Hey, Izuku started. What's wrong? Rody's voice changed instantly, low and serious. Izuku wondered how he could have noticed something in just that one word. Well, Izuku sighed, dragging a hand down his face, looking away from the sign. My flight is cancelled. Oh, shit, Rody said. Well, is there another one available? Is there a fee to change, or... No, Rody... Izuku sniffled, unable to hold back the tears any longer. He wiped his face with his sleeve as he dragged his bag so he could collapse on a bench. All the flights out of Japan are cancelled. There's nothing. Rody didn't say anything for a moment. Nothing? Rody echoed. Izuku hung his head forward, leaning on his knees. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, hey, it's... Rody's voice had gone shaky. It's not your fault, obviously. God, this sucks. Tell me about it. He hated this. He hated it a lot. 2 years together, and so much of it was over the phone. It felt profoundly unfair that their already limited time together would be lost because of some bad luck. Rody was quiet. Izuku understood. He didn't know what to say either. He couldn't say it was going to be okay because it wasn't. He couldn't say they'd find another time because they both knew they couldn't. He couldn't find a bright side or a solution or a comforting platitude. It was just awful. There was nothing else to it. Can we just stay on the phone for a while? Izuku said, snuffling into his arm. Yeah, sure, of course, Rody murmured back. Izuku closed his eyes. He wanted so badly to find a way to fix this. I'm sorry, he said again. Me too, Rody replied. I really wanted... Izuku trailed off. It wasn't like Rody didn't know. Yeah, he agreed. They sat silently for a while. Izuku watched other people in the airport frantically trying to deal with their own cancelled flights and ruined plans. A lot of people were in line to talk to the service desk. A lot of people were outside waiting for cars. Izuku wasn't the only person trying to find a quiet corner for a phone call. Are you going to be okay? Rody eventually asked, his voice slightly raspy. I mean, do you have a ride home? I'll be fine, Izuku murmured. He frowned and looked out the window at the heavy clouds. The storm doesn't even look that bad. He felt a bit petulant saying it. Weather conditions that are unsafe to fly in don't always look at, Rody said. He sighed. I'd rather you be safe. I'd rather be there, Izuku replied. We'll be okay, Rody said. Yeah? Izuku's tears were the quiet kind, just dripping down his face, like the rain in the windows. Yeah, of course, Rody replied. 5. Izuku burst through the entrance, breathing heavily, green sparks up and down his skin. He was an idiot. He was such an idiot. He should have known better. Really, it was his own fault for getting too caught up in his own hurt and confusion that he took Rody at his word. The fight had been more bitter and defensive than angry on both sides. It was just frustration at their situation, not each other. Izuku knew that for him, he was just really feeling the stress and pressure of long distance, and he missed Rody, and their time together always felt too short. He didn't want to break up. Of course he didn't. He didn't even want to bring it up as an option. So when Rody had thrown it out there, casual and petty, maybe this just isn't worth it, Izuku hadn't thought past the hurt of hearing it. But Izuku knew that Rody had a tendency to downplay his own feelings, and he knew that he'd said some hurtful things too. It never feels like enough! Rody and Pino had both recoiled at that, and Izuku hadn't meant to make it sound like Rody wasn't enough, but that was what he heard, wasn't it? It was fine. It was going to be fine because Izuku had made it to the airport before Rody could board his flight, and he was going to find Rody, and he could say that he knew that Rody hadn't meant it, and he hadn't meant what he said either, and that they didn't have to leave it like this, and... God, Izuku just really hoped that he wasn't too late. If Rody was through the security line, Izuku was prepared to plead his case to the nearest airport employee or just race past everyone. He could deal with the repercussions afterwards. This was too important. Izuku was just about ready to start sprinting through the airport when... Izuku? He'd spun around to see Rody leaning on a pillar by the wall, looking startled and a little bit weary. His hands were shoved into his pockets, and Pino was nowhere to be seen. Izuku just about fell over with relief. Rody, he sighed, dragging a hand down his face. What are you doing here? Rody asked, glancing furtively toward the door. I thought they'd agreed after their curt breakup that it was probably best if Izuku didn't accompany Rody to the airport this time. Izuku was sure it felt like it made sense in the moment, but the breakup had also felt like it made sense in the moment. And that was ridiculous. I couldn't. Izuku shook his head. He really should have thought about how to say this before rushing all the way here, but he didn't really have time in between realizing that neither of them wanted this and realizing that he wasn't going to make it in time if he didn't leave at that exact moment. Yeah, Rody said carefully. I don't want to break up, Izuku said, taking a breath and straightening up. And I don't think you want to either. Rody just stared for a moment, and Izuku's confidence wavered just a little. I mean, if I'm wrong, you can just... I'll leave if I'm wrong. Izuku studied Rody's face, but his expression wasn't giving anything away. Izuku wanted Pino to come out of wherever Rody was hiding her desperately. Am I wrong? You're not wrong, Rody replied. His tone was still a little unsure. Izuku managed to smile. It's hard, but it's worth it, right? We've made it this far. Rody flexed his hand around the strap of his duffel bag, and his gaze traced over Izuku like he was looking for something. You sure? He asked. Yeah, Izuku replied easily. I'm sure. I'm all in here. There were a lot of things about long distance that were difficult, but Izuku's feelings had never been the problem. Not even close. He'd never really pictured a romantic relationship in his future when he was younger. It wasn't the kind of dream he lingered on. Not until Rody. Izuku had never felt anything quite like he had with Rody. He never doubted his own feelings, never felt like they could be fleeting. I can try to take a later flight, Rody said, slow and soft. Izuku let out a slightly choked laugh, pressing the back of his hand to his mouth. He breathed in deep, feeling like he might burst. He hadn't been afraid, exactly, but he'd be lying if he'd said the relief wasn't strong enough to weaken his knees. Please don't cry, Rody said. I'm sorry. It was too late. Tears were streaming down Izuku's cheeks. Sad cheese, Rody murmured. He took a step forward, dropping his bag onto the floor and reaching forward. Carefully, he cupped Izuku's cheek, brushing away the tears with his thumb. I'm sorry, you're right, it's worth it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean... Pino finally made an appearance, peeking out of Rody's pocket with a small, concerned chirp. I'm sorry too, I'm okay, Izuku dropped his head to Rody's shoulder, the adrenaline finally wearing off, exhaustion hitting him all at once. A little hesitantly, Rody's hand came up to cut through Izuku's hair, trailing fingertips down the back of his neck. I'll switch my flight to a red-eye. I'm sure there's something later tonight. You don't have to do that, Izuku murmured. I want to, Rody replied. It's only a few extra hours, really, but... I love you, Izuku said. Rody's hand stilled in Izuku's hair, just for a moment. I love you too, he replied. They were going to be okay. Izuku was so glad that they were going to be okay. 6. Finally. Rody leaned against the wall, taking deep breaths. Meanwhile, Pino was just about vibrating, flying in jagged little infinity symbols. Izuku's flight had landed 5 minutes ago. He texted Rody from the plane the second he was allowed to turn his phone back on. It was just a picture of the view of the airport from the plane window, with a green little heart emoji. 5 years. 1 year of long-distance friendship before they stumbled over confessions. 4 years of long-distance relationship, countless phone calls, video chats, even some letters. Nearly an entire year with no visits at all, with both of them in the middle of their ridiculous school programs, navigating graduation and internships, one close call breakup after that, and after all that strain, almost 8 months of planning. Rody having a video chat with Izuku from potential apartments, where Izuku navigated visas and paperwork, 3 months of having an exact date to look forward to, a one-way ticket from Japan to Otheon. Not nearly enough days spent together throughout it all. Finally. When Izuku came down the escalator, already beaming, Rody's heart felt like it was twisting into a strange, crumpled shape. Really, he probably would have waited forever for the chance to really be able to be with Izuku. He was glad he wasn't going to have to. Hi, Izuku greeted a little breathlessly as they met. Hey, Rody replied with a smile. He felt a little breathless too. It was sort of unbelievable that they were finally here, that this was finally happening, that Izuku wasn't leaving this time. I'm here, Izuku said. Welcome home, Rody replied. His smile was soft and full of light and predictably a little bit teary. He leaned up to kiss Rody and greeting lightly, just a fleeting peck. Because they had time, Rody thought with no small amount of wonder. Are you ready? He asked. Absolutely. Izuku replied, no hesitation in his voice. +1. The plane touched down, the first jolts of pavement against the wheels. It was smooth and easy as anyone could hope for. Rody grinned, rolling his shoulders back as he flipped the intercom on. And here we are. It's a beautiful sunny day, and the local time is 4:32 in the afternoon. We're getting in a little bit early, but our gate is all ready for us, so we'll be getting you out of here shortly. For now, keep your seatbelts on while the plane is still moving, Rody said, feeling pretty good for how long it's been since he'd slept in a real bed. If you're in Otheon on vacation, we hope you have a lovely stay. If, like me, you're coming home, then welcome home. It was pretty quick getting out of the gate and opening the door. The flight had been long, but smooth, uneventful, easy. Rody probably spent more time flying planes for heroes these days, which could always get kind of chaotic, depending on the circumstance. Commercial flights could be a nice break sometimes. They were a lot more predictable. He lingered long enough that he wouldn't have to do the whole thing where he'd have to say bye to all the passengers as they deboarded, before grabbing his things and heading to the exit himself. The head flight attendant smiled at him as he passed. Hope you have a nice week off, Rody. Rody offered her a little salute, and Pina waved from his shoulder. Thanks. See you around. He tried his best not to seem like he was rushing off, but from the amused look she shot him, he hadn't succeeded. Which was fair enough. He'd probably rambled effusively enough about Izuku the whole staff wouldn't have been surprised if he just made a run for it. As it was, when he turned the corner out of sight, he sped up a lot. Not quite running, just about as close as he could reasonably get. Their jobs kept them both pretty busy, but they'd managed to coordinate a week to themselves. Rody had been looking forward to it all month. Izuku was waiting for him near the gate, leaning against the wall and checking his phone. Rody took a quick moment to slow down and enjoy the moment. Coming home always felt like this, warm and safe and beautiful. Izuku's gaze flicked up as he sensed Rody there. Rody smiled. Hey there, come here often, he said. Izuku's mouth twitched up in a small smile as he pocketed his phone. My husband's a pilot. Husband, eh? Rody drawled, leaning against the wall next to him. So is it serious, or... Izuku shot him a look, closer to amused than annoyed. Are you ready to go home, or do you want to keep trying to flirt? All right, Rody said with a small laugh. He leaned forward to kiss Izuku's cheek. Let's go. As Izuku laced their fingers together and tugged him towards the exit, Rody found himself memorizing the moment. All of the distant airport sounds and the weight of his bag against his shoulder etched into the scene. All the surrounding feeling of Izuku's hand in his. Every once in a while it hit him how this was the sort of life he'd only dared to dream about in passing. Hey travelers, welcome back to the Crow's Nest. Sorry if this one was a little extra stumbly. I really wanted to finish it, but also it's really late. So, I wasn't like really rushing through it, but also, I didn't, I'm tired and it's kind of late. So yeah. You know the part around, first of all, how did you guys like this one? Because I've had this one on my list for quite a while, and I got so excited to podfic it, and then I haven't podficed it yet, and now I did, and I'm so excited to upload it, because I love this fic so much, and I'm gonna have to send this one to, Jelly, because he's been wanting me to podfic this one for months. Is that my snout? No, okay, something just probably fell or something. I don't know what just happened. But yeah, I'm gonna have to send this one to Jelly because he's been waiting for me to podfic this one for months. Because I tried to podfic it at first on call with him and Rat, I think, and maybe AJ. I'm not sure, but yeah, it was something. Anyways, I fucking adore this fic so much. Rody Deku is so cute, but holy shit, I kept accidentally calling Rody Rudy because we just read The Book Thief. We just finished The Book Thief in class. The Book Thief is so good. It's like one of the only good books that I've ever found out of school. Like, we read The Outsiders, like at the start of the semester. Not start of the semester, start of the year. And that, I know a couple people who like really liked that one. Like, I've got some friends who are in a class and they just read it. But, yeah, no, one of my friends is like absolutely obsessed with it. I never got into it, but I guess I can see how people really like that one. I don't know. It just wasn't really my thing. I fucking adored The Book Thief, though. Oh my gosh, I cried so much at the end of that one. I literally started sobbing in the middle of my class. I started sobbing in the middle of my English class, and it was so embarrassing because I was like trying to muffle my sobs in the middle of the last chapter. Oh my gosh, it was so embarrassing. But luckily the only person who probably the only person who noticed was the girl who sits next to me and the guy who sits like kind of across from me. And I used to kind of be friends with that guy, so he'd make fun of me for it, but he wouldn't make fun of me for it. And the girl next to me is like pretty chill, even though she's a lot more popular than I am, so that's fine. So yeah. I had to leave the room and like just started fucking crying in the bathroom. It was so embarrassing. But it was a really good book. Oh my god. If you guys like historical fiction, definitely go check that one out. It's so cute. I cried so much. Ah! It's like, you know there's going to be a lot of major character death, and then once it gets there, you're not ready for it. You know it's coming, and you're not... Oh my gosh. Oh, I cried so much. Anyways, different thing right now. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm just insane. Deal with it. You love me for it. You love me like this. Thank you guys for saying you guys like these outros, because I like doing them. I like being a cheeky little shit, you know? By the way, you know during part 6 where like, it was like really emotional because like Rody and Izuku are finally moving in together. That wasn't fake. I was genuinely crying. That wasn't fake. I was trying not to show it too much, aside from like the part where I had to be like, my voice had to be a little bit choked up. But like I was genuinely crying during that entire section. It was... Oh my gosh, this fic, I love it so much, but holy shit, during sections 4 through 6, I cried so much. Whew, okay. I cried so much during this one. Sorry if this one sounded a little bit more crackly than usual. Like, I had a little bit more stumbling that I didn't really edit out. I'm sorry. It just might have happened. I'm not sure. Anyways, what's the list say? Y'all gotta go drink your water. Drink your fucking water, you absolute asshats. Water is important because it's good. Water is good, okay? You gotta take care of yourself. There, I just drank some water. Sorry to any of my friends who have misophonia. But, there, I just drank some water. You guys should too, because water is important, and we don't want you to... You guys don't want to be crusty little shits, do you? No, you don't. Anyways, yeah, drink your water, eat your food. Food is also important. I'm gonna go make myself a snack after I finish recording this, and eat that while I upload it to fucking CapCut and shit, and then upload it to YouTube. So, yeah, you guys should go eat something as well. And you gotta go to sleep on time. Don't follow my instructions. I know I'm releasing this. It's probably gonna get out at like 1:30 to 2 a.m. Don't follow my lead. Like, it's not healthy. I promise you, babe, it's not healthy. Get a better sleep schedule. Do not watch this like right when it comes out, okay? It's not good. Not good. Okay? Yeah, okay. Take care of yourselves. Give me fic recs. I know I went on that hiatus, but hey, I'm releasing this like right after I released fucking... What was it called? I'm releasing this like the fucking day after, probably. It's probably gonna be a day after, I don't know. I'm releasing this right after I released fucking... What is it called? Give me 2 seconds. I'm trying to remember. Brain is not braining. Fuck! 2 seconds. Nope, I don't have it saved because I took it off the fucking list. Despite it's like fucking... Fuck. 2 seconds. Why can't I remember the name of this one? Fic. But, like, I'm releasing it right after I released, fucking... my works. 2 seconds. Yeah, I'm releasing this right after I released Between All These Undefinable Impossible Odds. So, like, you're probably gonna get, like, a little bit before I release the next one. Or I'm just gonna be like, you know what, this is fun. I'm gonna binge doing this for the next month. So you guys are gonna get, like, a mass upload schedule. I don't know. By the way, if you guys didn't see that announcement, yeah, I posted a fic, like, yesterday, probably, when this is coming out. But, it's Between All Undefinable, It's Between All These Undefinable Impossible Odds by Art of Fluorescence. It's a very good fic. Very triggering, though. Thing is, it's not on YouTube proper because it's, like, author asked me not to put it on here, asked it to just, like, be on AO3. So it's on my channel, but it's unlisted, if that makes sense. So you can't get it unless you have the link, which is on my AO3. So, I made a community post about it, and the link to the fic is in that community post. Definitely go make sure you check the tags though, because it's kind of a triggering fic. If it's definitely a more triggering fic, MCD and all that shit. So like stay safe, loves. Okay. Anyway, yeah, no, go check that out and shit, because that's fine. That one's really fun. I cried a lot during the recording of that one. I'm sorry. I've been crying a lot for the last recently. I don't know why. Probably because of how much depressing music I've been listening to, because I'm going to see Citizen Soldier and Icon for Hire play during their group therapy tour in a couple of months. So that's going to be cool. So I'm listening to a lot of depressing emo music. But, yeah. So that's going to be fun. But, anyways, yeah. Give me fic recs. I need more content. I need all the content, please. I love the content. Even if I don't end up being able to podfic it, I like to read it. I still like to read it. Like, gimme, please, I beg. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, that. Also, I'm on a couple different Discords. I might start leaving my Discord in the description. I don't know. Just so, like, if you want to DM me, go for it. I don't know. You can find me on Rat's Discord or Rat's Discord. Both of the Rats have Discords, the Satan one and the Overlord one. Rat Overlord's Discord is the one that I'm on. So, maybe go join that. Because that one's very cool. We're very cool over there. Or don't. If you don't feel like socially interacting, which is totally valid. I don't talk too often. I talk semi-regularly. Usually it's just like fit updates. Or commenting on something else. Or, I don't know, venting if I'm sad. I don't know. It's a time. It's a time. But yeah, if you want to join, go for it. It's chill. I'm on Rats. I don't remember what. On the Rat Overlord Discord, it's my nest uwu. Because Rat's Discord is called the Crow's Nest. So like Rat's Discord is called the Crow's Nest. So it's my nest uwu. I'm on Echo's Discord, but I don't really talk. I sometimes talk on Cats, but not much. I don't remember what I'm named either. On that one I'm named It's Funny. No. I'm named fucking something funny. Give me 2 seconds. Not me forgetting everything. No, I'm too funny. Okay, yeah, because of some, like, random comment that someone else said. Don't worry about it. And on the Rat Cult server, which is the Satan version's Discord. Give me 2 seconds. I'll find what I'm named. I promise. I'll find what I'm named. Isn't it? Yeah, I'm Crowserve Rat Cults. And just on Discord general, I'm, fucking Murder of Rainbow Crows, I think? Yeah, Murder of Rainbow Crows. So, like, if you just want to DM me cat pics, I will totally trade you. Yeah. That's about it, lovelies. take care of yourselves, okay? I adore you. I love you. But looks like you. But so thanks for joining me. Thanks for joining me in the nest. But looks like you gotta head out. See you, travelers.